During a Senate hearing in early 2026, Senator Cory Booker confronted Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem with allegations of systematic constitutional violations by immigration enforcement agencies. Booker, who previously served as mayor of Newark and ran the city's police department, presented what he characterized as documented evidence of unlawful detentions of American citizens. According to research conducted by Booker's staff analyzing public records, DHS has been involved in over 170 incidents of unlawfully detaining American citizens, including 20 children. Booker presented specific cases: a California U.S. citizen detained for over 70 hours despite showing his passport, a Chicago woman shot multiple times by ICE agents on her way to donate clothing at church, and reports of agents entering schools and pursuing children. Booker also questioned DHS's financial management, citing a New Jersey warehouse purchase for $129.3 million that was assessed at $62 million, and alleged violations of nearly 100 court orders in Minnesota and 52 in New Jersey. The exchange concluded with Booker calling for Noem to resign, be removed by the president, or face impeachment. Throughout the questioning, Secretary Noem disputed Booker's characterizations, stating that detentions occur when there is probable cause or when individuals obstruct law enforcement operations, and that the agency complies with court orders. Watch how Booker opened his questioning.
Now it's Senator Booker's turn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Noem, you're in charge of your agency. The buck stops with you, correct?
I'm in charge of my agency, what?
The buck stops with you,
Yes,
correct?
correct.
And you had to swear an oath to the Constitution before you took this job, right?
Correct.
So one of the most sacrosanct ideals of our nation, enshrined in our Constitution, is freedom, is liberty. It is an idea that the government has a very high standard should they take away liberty and freedom from an American citizen. How many U.S. citizens has DHS detained as of last October?
Senator, if you're talking about detained and arrested, is that those that have been violating and obstructing our law enforcement operations? Is that what you're referencing? Because it could be hundreds and hundreds. We have faced violent riots across the country,
You are
specifically
saying
in Portland and in
the only
Minneapolis.
people you've detained are committing crimes, but you and I both know
No,
that's
I
not
haven't
true.
said that. I didn't
so
say
then
that.
how
I asked
many
which ones you were
people
referencing.
have you detained?
I can't give you an accurate number because we've literally detained and arrested many for those obstruction of law enforcement operations, and
So
also
public
others
records,
that had probable
let me tell you
cause
what my staff researched.
and then released
May
once
I
yes.
continue? Public records are showing that over 170 incidents of your agency unlawfully taking away the liberties and freedoms of American citizens. This includes 20 children, 20 American kids that your agency detained. How long can your agency detain an American citizen?
We don't detain children and separate them from their parents. Those parents have chosen
You're telling me
to
under
keep their
oath
child
right now.
with
Hold on.
them.
I just want to be clear. You're telling me under oath right now that your agency has not detained American children.
Those parents have chosen to keep their children with them. We don't separate families like the
So,
Biden
hold on.
administration
Let me
did.
continue.
We keep them together, and parents
please
have the
let me
option
continue.
on if they want their child with them or not with them.
How long do detentions last when you detain an American citizen? How long do they last?
We don't detain American citizens, and if there's
well,
probable cause.
Let me give you, because you are not speaking truthfully under oath. Isaiah Pena Salcedo, a U.S. citizen living in California, was detained more than 70 hours, almost 3 days, even after he showed ICE agents his passport. My colleague, Senator Blumenthal, gave you example after example. He brought people here who had something else we Americans consider sacrosanct: our home, our property. Your masked agents jumping out of unmarked cars have broken into, considerable property damage occurring, into American citizens' homes. Case after case of this, and you sit here before me and claim the buck stops with you, but you don't even know the names of these individuals. I ran New Jersey's largest municipal police department. When my officers engaged in misconduct, you can be damn well sure I knew about it and I investigated it. And yet you have situations where your officers are violating the sanctity of people's homes, arresting and detaining them and holding their children. And you're acting as if you don't know about it and saying that under oath. Miramar Martinez, who is here right now, on her way to church, an American citizen going to church, not just to worship, but to donate clothing. Your officers shot her multiple times. The case was thrown out of court, and you represent here that you don't know about it. In New Jersey, are you aware of your officers' activities in places like schools? Are you aware of your officers' activities at our public schools?
Sir, we don't go into schools and do targeted law enforcement operations. We do targeted law enforcement operations like other agencies
So
and
you're
law
telling me that
enforcement
ICE
do.
officers entered the grounds of a high school in Minneapolis? That's a fact. Elementary school children in New Jersey are terrified of your agents. When they came upon a school bus stop, they fled. Another school, a higher education, Columbia University, your agents reportedly lied to students, told them they were searching for a missing person to gain access to private spaces to non-public areas of campus.
Senator Booker's claim that public records show over 170 incidents of unlawful detention of American citizens, including 20 children, represents research his staff conducted analyzing available documentation. Booker stated this figure applies to detentions as of last October, suggesting the number may have increased since then. Secretary Noem's response characterized detentions as involving individuals violating and obstructing law enforcement operations, or occurring when there is probable cause. She stated the agency does not detain American citizens except under these circumstances. The factual dispute centers on whether the 170-plus incidents involved U.S. citizens lawfully present and engaged in lawful activity, or whether they involved individuals interfering with enforcement operations. Booker's accusation that Noem is not speaking truthfully under oath suggests he believes documented cases contradict her characterization. The specific case Booker cited, Isaiah Pina Saledo, a California U.S. citizen detained for more than 70 hours, almost 3 days, even after he showed ICE agents his passport, represents a verifiable claim if documentation exists. Detention of a U.S. citizen for multiple days after presenting proof of citizenship would raise Fourth Amendment questions about unreasonable seizure. Previous studies have documented U.S. citizen detentions by ICE. A 2020 Cato Institute study found that ICE detained approximately 1,488 U.S. citizens between 2012 and 2018, with some held for weeks or months. The actual number may be higher, as not all detentions are systematically tracked. Booker's reference to masked agents jumping out of unmarked cars, breaking into homes, echoes testimony from Senator Blumenthal's earlier questioning, where 3 U.S. citizens, Leonardo Garcia, Javier Ramirez, and Miramar Martinez, were present to describe their encounters with ICE agents. The Miramar Martinez case, which Booker referenced, was detailed in Blumenthal's questioning. According to the senator's account, Martinez was shot 5 times by an ICE agent while on her way to donate clothing at church. Criminal charges against her were dismissed, with prejudice, and the agent reportedly bragged about the shooting on social media. Booker's allegations about ICE activities at schools include specific claims: officers entering the grounds of a high school in Minneapolis, elementary children in New Jersey fleeing when agents appeared at a school bus stop, and agents at Columbia University reportedly lied to students about searching for a missing person to gain campus access. Secretary Noem's response, "We don't go into schools and do targeted law enforcement operations," denies that ICE conducts operations at educational facilities. However, Multiple media outlets reported ICE enforcement actions near or at schools in various states during early 2026. Federal policy historically discouraged immigration enforcement at sensitive locations, including schools, but the Trump administration has modified or eliminated some of these restrictions. ICE's official position is that enforcement actions near schools are permissible when targeting specific individuals with criminal backgrounds. Watch how Booker transitioned to questioning DHS's financial management and court order compliance.
I want to talk to you about this incredible empire of for-profit companies that are profiting at rates we've never seen, and the way you're using money. Let's drill down on the warehouses that DHS has been buying over the last several months, totaling hundreds of millions of dollars. Are you familiar with the acquisition of a warehouse DHS recently bought in Roxbury Township, New Jersey?
Yes.
You are familiar with that?
Mm-hmm. I'm
Do you
familiar
know
that
how
it's...
much you spent for it?
No, sir, I do not.
$129.3 million. Do you know how much it was assessed for in New Jersey?
Sir, we're purchasing centers across the country to build efficiency into our detention system.
Efficiency to
so that
me,
we
as a
can...
person who's run tight budgets before and had taxpayer dollars, you paid $129.3 million for a facility in my state that was assessed at less than half of that, at $62 million. To work for a president that says he's a great deal maker, I can't believe he thinks that you're a great deal maker. But what's worse than that is that the Roxbury Township Council, comprised entirely of Republicans, voted unanimously early this year to oppose that facility. My office tried to facilitate a meeting between DHS and local officials so that ICE could hear their concerns, yet DHS did not even respond. That is unacceptable, that you all would enter a town, you wouldn't even follow environmental reviews or have conversations with local officials about the resources, from emergency resources to fire resources and more, that you're going to pull down. You didn't even have a conversation. Secretary Noem, do you comply with court orders?
Yes, we do comply
Your
with court
agency complies
orders.
with court orders.
Yes, we comply
That,
with federal
again,
court
you were
orders.
saying under oath that you do, and yet we know in January the chief judge, Republican appointed for the Federal District of Minnesota, found that ICE had violated nearly 100 court orders since January 1st alone. In my state of New Jersey, last month, the chief of staff to Deputy Attorney General admitted in my state that in the New Jersey District Court that the government had violated 52 separate court orders, all involving cases where immigrants successfully challenged the legality of their detention. So this, again, is a constitution that you swore an oath to, and one of the most important ideals is that no one is above the law. You are violating the separation of powers, violating court orders, and routinely violating the civil rights of Americans. This is a reckless and out-of-control agency that you are responsible for. You seem to have no situational awareness whatsoever of some of the most egregious examples of Americans being completely attacked.
Booker's allegation that DHS paid $129.3 million for a Roxbury Township warehouse, assessed at $62 million, more than double its assessed value, raises questions about procurement oversight and taxpayer funds. Property assessments, while not always identical to market value, typically reflect reasonable estimates. Paying double the assessment would require justification through appraisals or competitive bidding processes. Secretary Noem's response that DHS is purchasing centers across the country to build efficiency into our detention system did not address the price discrepancy or explain why the facility was worth more than double its assessment. Noem also stated she did not know how much was spent, despite Booker noting she was familiar with the acquisition. Booker's statement that Roxbury Township Council, comprised entirely of Republicans, voted unanimously to oppose the facility ad's bipartisan context. When local Republican officials oppose a Republican administration's facility, it suggests the opposition is based on practical concerns rather than partisan disagreement. The allegation that DHS did not even respond to Booker's office's attempts to facilitate meetings between DHS and local officials, and that the agency proceeded without environmental reviews or consultation about emergency resources, would violate standard federal facility acquisition procedures, if accurate. The court order violations Booker cited are specific and verifiable. The chief judge in Minnesota's federal district, whom Booker emphasized is Republican appointed, found that ICE violated nearly 100 court orders since January 1st alone. In New Jersey, according to Booker, the Deputy Attorney General admitted in court that the government violated 52 separate court orders, all involving cases where immigrants successfully challenged the legality of their detention. Secretary Noem's statement under oath that DHS complies with federal court orders appears directly contradicted by these judicial findings, if Booker's characterization is accurate. Court orders are legally binding, and violating them constitutes contempt of court, a serious matter that undermines the separation of powers. Booker's assertion that immigration was your president's #1 issue, overwhelmingly popular with the American people, but now it's overwhelmingly unpopular, references polling data. While immigration enforcement generally polls well when framed as removing dangerous criminals, specific enforcement tactics, particularly those affecting U.S. citizens or occurring at schools, have faced criticism across the political spectrum. Booker's closing statement escalated to the most severe condemnation available. You should step down from your position. If you don't, you should be removed by this president. And if not, Congress should impeach you. This represents a formal call for removal through resignation, executive action, or congressional impeachment proceedings. Secretary Noem's response, "Yeah, I appreciate the encouragement," was dismissive and suggested she has no intention of resigning or changing course based on Booker's allegations. The exchange reveals a fundamental dispute about immigration enforcement under Noem's leadership. Booker's position: DHS is systematically violating constitutional rights of U.S. citizens, ignoring court orders, mismanaging taxpayer funds, and operating without accountability. Noem's position: operations are lawful, target individuals with probable cause or who obstruct enforcement, and comply with legal requirements. What remains contested is the factual record. If 170+ U.S. citizens have been unlawfully detained, if nearly 100 court orders were violated in Minnesota and 52 in New Jersey, if a warehouse was purchased at double its assessed value, these represent verifiable claims that oversight investigations, court documents, and property records could confirm or refute. Booker's call for Noem to resign, be removed, or face impeachment reflects the severity of the allegations. Whether Congress pursues further oversight or impeachment proceedings will depend on whether the factual claims can be substantiated and whether there is sufficient political will to hold the Secretary accountable. If coverage of congressional oversight matters to you, consider subscribing.